What's up, everyone? I'm JP007, and this is going to be a how to speedrun Ease Memories of Celceta PC any percent easy. Real quick before I get into this, I do recommend that you check out my companion settings video, just because that's going to cover some stuff important to the run. And then I also recommend actually playing this at least once, because for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to assume for the most part you know how to play. I'm going to discuss one mechanic, but that's because you may not realize it's there if you don't go looking for it. Okay, so to begin, we're always going to start with new game, and we're going to always start with easy. So let's go. All right, and here beginning off, we use our high-speed fast forwarding. Anytime you're doing this, you probably want to be hitting your confirm button, just because you got options like these comes up. You don't have to worry about selecting anything particular, just because, as you know, choices aren't that important in this game. When you get dialogue boxes like this, you probably want to hit cancel instead. That seems to advance them a little bit faster. Okay, so we got control now. When you're moving around, you want to be constantly dashing. That's the fastest way to get around. Inside, it's going to be that hop like this. Outside, it's going to be a roll. And just try to keep it up as rhythmically as you can. And unfortunately, yeah, every time we're going to have to go through this tutorial stuff. So, head in minds here. Get into your menu, just do a shortcut. That way you don't have to worry about flipping around. During here is probably going to be our lead character for most of the run. Since he's a little bit taller, we believe he's generally got the fastest overall roll movement. You don't need to switch to him right now. I'm just showcasing. Alright, so Mole Hunt. Alright. So that is obviously skill. Pretty much the only one we're going to be equipping. I equip it down to the bottom there just for easier access. And then generally, this was the way it was taught to me, so it's the way I'm going to share it with you. When you're generally fighting, which is not going to be a lot, you want to do like regular double slash, and then you want to do your extra skill there. That'll generally keep you in health enough to keep your SP up. Anyways. Roll over here. And then, as you saw, take out those slug things, Adol, then switch to Durin. Makes things a little easier since everyone usually splits up, right? Alright, and that's usually a pretty easy fight. Sometimes you'll get that big mole to go underground, and it kills a few seconds, but it's usually nothing to seriously worry about. Okay, so here's our first trick of the game. What you want to do is get yourself aligned right about here. I think if you're a few pixels off, you'll be fine. Then come to your menu, pop memory, and then when you come out, it should be like this. So just switch over to Adol. and you're good.
Leave it to me.
It's been discovered that when you watch memories like that, for some reason, the game will move you when you pop out the menu, and if you put your main character positioned right there, it will pop your other character behind a gate. So you can just switch over, hit the loading zone, and here we are. And we will be using that trick for some other spots, so yeah. Alright, now what we want to do is roll over here, because there's a treasure chest over here we want to grab.
Leave it to me.
Alright, boss time. Easy for the most part. Do your best to grab all the flash guards you can. Okay. Obviously a screw up there. Then as soon as you get them stunned, pop your X skill. This guy is usually no problem, not on easy. Alright, so we picked up Silver Wing, which lets us teleport. And by default, you can just hit confirm and you get automatically selected to warp to this monument. Just a real quick note about monuments. For the most part, unless I explicitly do, try not to hit as many monuments as you can. We don't care about a lot of them, and later in the run we're going to be doing a good bit of warping around, so the less monuments you have to cycle through, the better. If you hit one by mistake, it's no big deal. There's a few of them that are hard to swing by, kind of hard. So, if you do, you do. If you don't, that's cool. Okay. So, check this board here. And you can roll through this pretty fast. So, just like hang on this for about maybe half a second. Roll through, cancel out. Alright. And then here it's going to do a little tutorial for Kazanan that we unfortunately don't care about because this is going to be the only time we're really in Kazanan. Which kind of sucks because I really do enjoy Kazanan's theme. But such is the way of the speedrun. Alright, so obviously it's going to depend on you, but generally whenever we're moving around, you want to try to take the shortest path possible. And in time you'll learn it, but usually I don't always look at the main screen. Sometimes I'll be looking at the mini-map to move around. Don't worry about getting it the first time. You'll get it, you know, as you practice more. But do note there's going to be a few times where I suggest you look at the mini-map.
All right.
Alright, so pop over here, and you want to generally try to get back on land as soon as you can. Obviously, easier to move on land. Ooh. That was close. I've never had that happen before. And then you can roll through here. Generally, as long as you keep a steady pace, you don't have to worry about anything hitting you. But, you know, do keep an eye out on rolling stuff like that, getting caught on ledges and whatnot. Okay, so I do recommend saving as much as possible for reasons I'm going to show in here. You want to take a little damage here because we are setting up for a trick.
Don't think I can hold out much longer.
Want to get around about 20, 30 because we are going to do a trick here, and I'm going to pause while I explain. We are about to do a out of bounds skip. What we want to try to do is want Durin here to be almost dead because we're going to kill him off. Right below us is some water here. What we're going to do is we're going to try to attack some nearby crabs, which is pretty easy. We're going to jump into the water, and we want to be swimming. You want to make sure Durin is actually swimming, and then you want the crabs to kill them off. Then when you switch back to Adel, we are going to run up back the shore a little bit. Then what we're going to do is, even though Durin's dead, we're going to switch him back into the leader spot. And then we're going to resurrect him with the rotor droplet. Because what that's going to do is, because the game thinks that Durin is still dead in the water, so when we resurrect him, it's going to try to put us back into water. But since technically, I think I'm doing this right because I've never heard this actually explained. So ease buddies, if I'm explaining this wrong, forgive me. It's going to try to put us back on his plane. But since he's underwater, we're going to clip through the ground. And because there is water nearby, we do have to correct ourselves very quickly because otherwise we will just completely fall through to a kill plane and game over. You want to hit down like about second after you drop, and then we'll start swimming. We are going to swim to the opposite shore. Now you do have to watch out because you can't swim infinitely, and we're going to always be going up because at this point in the game we don't have the ability to stay underwater. But what we're going to do is we're going to come to the other side. We're going to jump out of the water before we clip up into normal space. And then we're going to watch a memory again. Because once we watch that memory, as I said, the game likes to move us. Since we're out of normal space, the game thinks, oh, you're out of normal space, so I'm going to put you back up. So if we're close enough to the shore, we are going to be up on the shore as normal. So, yeah. Okay, so explanation over. Let's do this. Okay, so switch over, come over here. Here's about fine. Rotor droplet, exit your menu. Oh, okay. Do feel free to safety save here. Just because this is kind of a one-shot trick. It's not hard, but... Alright, drop that there. Nope. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that was an accident.
Leave it to me.
And there you go. Okay, get over here. As you saw there, kind of fell out for a second. That will happen. You want to do that because that way you know you're on edge. And then I pull the camera out just because it's easier to judge. Like I said, once you get underwater, even if it's your first time doing it, feel free to save before you do the drop, and then feel free to save after you do the drop. Overall, it's not a difficult trick, but if you're learning it, it's a bit scary. And as I was starting to say, it's kind of a one-time trick because once we get under, We have no way to redo it since it depends on dying, needing a rotor droplet, and we've only got the one. So feel free to safety save if you want to. Um, Better safe than sorry. Alright, so let's go. And generally, even though I stopped there, you don't have to worry about health because we'll be getting it. We'd have got it refilled. Alright, so come to Komodo, come up here, grab this memory. Alright, now we got a few NPCs we need to talk to. So come up here, we want to talk to Granny. We need to visit Ye Old Shopkeep here, who we will never see again. Talk to these nerds. And then talk to these. And that's events fulfilled.
No way. Leave it to me.
Alright. Skip through this scene. And be careful with that deer there because you can't possibly get stuck on them. Alright. Talk to the nerds again. And we're going to be sent to Ancient Burrow.
Leave it to me.
Now we have Karna. So we have a full party at last. Alright, then let's just go on and leave Komodo. Alright, we want to get this chest. That one can be a little, I don't want to say tricky, but a little bit of a pain because those enemies sitting right there. Do want to grab it because we do need that rotor droplet for a another clip in the future. And then real quick, if you don't want your allies attacking anything, not usually a big deal, just set them to evasion focus. This can also be useful because it does keep them tighter on you. Alright. Don't worry about that wolf there. He can be tricky. I don't want to say tricky. He can do that. Might delay you for a second. That's fine. Okay. We don't actually want to fight these. But we do want to switch to Karna here. Because there's an encounter when we go inside this cave. Right as we walk in. So switch homing knives to the bottom here because it's easier. Because when we get inside, like I said, there's going to be fights. What we want to try to do is, they're generally decent about it, but we're going to pop our X skill when we get in there. Unfortunately, there's an archer in the back. She likes to hop away. So we're going to try to keep her grouped up by using homing knives. It doesn't always work. She's a pain. If she backs away, whatever, work with it. It's not a super huge loss. It just, the archer's a pain. As you'll see here in a second, and you may have experienced. So. And that's, yeah. generally want to pop it a little bit sooner than that, but that's fine. Oop. Gotta remember some to attack too. And then just hang back.
Just getting warmed up. Leave it to me.
Not too hard of an encounter, but it can be a little pain at first since you're technically underleveled. But once you get one down, it gets a bit quicker from there. Alright, so come over here and inspect this. Then roll up here, because we just unlocked Karna's field skill. And we'll need it a couple times in here.
My turn.
And then Ancient Burrow isn't much, just roll on through. And then kind of hang around here, just because there's this right here, very thin, so it can be easy to knock over to the side. Okay, so something you can do there, and if you're better at overall movement than I am, is you can switch Karna, come up here, and if you're quick enough, you can just automatically lock on and use her field skill.
My turn.
And if you do that, it'll like, the bees will disappear. Not super important if you do or don't, but it's cool and it does save a little microseconds maybe. See if I can pull it off up here.
Let's go.
So about like that. Alright, so up here you want to knock down the middle and right one. We don't want the one on the far left because that just goes over a treasure chest. Okay. So I'm going to stop here for a second because I'm going to save. Because right here I'm going to show you several tricks. The first trick we no longer do at this point in the run, but I'm showing it to you here because this is the first opportunity you can practice it, and it is important to the overall run. This is why I told you to bind that extra guard key. Because what we're going to try to do, we're going to walk in here, we're going to fight B in here, and we're going to try to get him to do a certain move, a spinning move. Because what that's going to do is, with that move, if you chain enough flash guards, it will actually propel you upwards. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get enough height
Only just beginning.
to escape from the room, because we can actually escape from this boss. The reason we want to escape is because later in the run, you just kind of see me do it a little bit, but Celceta is a very good game about expecting events to happen as they're supposed to. So here a little bit later, we're going to start breaking stuff. In some ways, that's going to benefit us, and in one big way, it's going to hinder us because it's going to prevent us from getting to a story important boss. Because if we were to get to that boss as is, he wouldn't load. But if we come in here and fight the bee and escape, the next time we have get into a room that has a forced encounter, the game will load that encounter regardless. So we would come back here, escape from the bee, and then go back and fight the story boss as needed. Now, the reason we no longer do this now is because after I show you this, I'm going to show you another trick that we actually use to escape from here. Because we're going to use that trick again on the next boss, Underground Ruins. Because we don't want to fight that boss either. Because if we do the jump escape I'm about to show you here, it would automatically load the next boss, and we don't want to do that. I apologize for the long-windedness. I'm trying to make sure I explain this stuff before I show it off. Now, I am going to say the B is optional for a jump escape. There's a second boss later in the run where we can do the jump escape from, and I'm also going to show it to you there because we do actually do it in the easy route. I'm going to let you choose to do this. Practice on the B, practice on the next jump boss, which is Mustrum. Find out which works for you. The B is a bit more difficult, but he can be faster about getting you to escape. While Mustrum is a bit more consistent, I believe.
Come on, let's get going.
If you're not comfortable with doing the B, don't worry about picking up this pillar. If you are comfortable with the B, and if you're fine with some RNG, pick it up. Okay, I've rambled enough. Let's go. Alright, so you want to come to about over here to escape.
Leave it to me.
Okay. Okay, you saw that right there? That's what you want him to do. And you can use this to get in and out. Okay, that's not enough height. Okay. If a character gets a status effect, that will make it difficult. Okay, that might do it. Yes. Okay. So normally we would actually go out on the other side, but for the purposes of demonstration, I'm just doing either way. Okay. So I'm returning back, and because that's the way it rolls. As I said, feel free to practice it. Now I'm going to show you the trick we actually use to on the current route. Now this is why I said we only do 120 frames, because what we're going to do is we're going to walk into the room, but we're not going to actually start the encounter. We're going to get as close as we can to the trigger, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start cycling through memories. Then after watching a memory, we're going to cycle through our first two party members here. And what's going to happen is we're going to, while we're in the menu, we're going to slowly advance. Now it will kind of trigger the encounter, but because we're still in the menu, we're not going to have to actually fight the bee. And after enough times, we're going to be able to get past the trigger for the boss encounter and get through without having to actually fight. Now, for some reason, even though this is pretty simple, it does not like doing it for some people on unlimited. So that's why we recommend 120 frames. Okay. Accident. So go in here as far as you can. Oh, that was too far. Unfortunately, there's no good visual. So, look. So, like about right here, it's kind of hard to tell because there's nothing super distinctive to really tell, but if you're aligned to right about here, it's pretty safe. So, and then when you're doing memories, try to go for the tower. It's a touch shorter. Alright, so watch your memory. Flip your first two party members. And it's going to do like that. Definitely be careful to not exit the menu, because if you do exit the menu right now, you will have to fight it. Alright. Then if you get a memory like that, you are safe.
Leave it to me.
Alright. And now we have the dwarf bracelet. Now a quick thing about that memory. Right there, depending, you may be able to escape without doing that last clear memory. It's risky though because positioning does matter and you may or may not engage the bee regardless. I do the extra run just to be safe. So, alright. So all we really want from here is the dwarf bracelet, so let's get out of Ancient Burrow. Now, as I said, you can do multiple bosses for that skip, and choose whatever boss you're most comfortable with. For the most part, I'm just going to stick with Mustrum later, because as I said, he's more consistent. And my fingers just can't really do the mash requisite. Oh god, what do I want to say? My fingers can't do the mash well enough to consistently escape from the bee. I can get it in time, but I don't like the bee. Alright. So we're going to roll over here, drop this drawbridge. Pop across the river here. Alright, now the game expects us to go to Ancient Burrow, but we're bad. As I just taught you, we're going to get past this with another memory skip. Okay, if you get a black screen like this, you're fine. Just cancel out. That means we went deep into the loading zone. You're perfectly fine. It's a little scary at first, but like I said, just cancel out and you'll load in. Alright, so Misty Peak, Lost Woods, no map, scary, nope. Just keep going down. Or, watch this video, do as I do in this one case. Alright. So, Guardian Sapling. Want to pick that up and do a camp, right? No. Not in this case. I am going to do a quick note there. Be careful about hitting your high-speed fast-forwarding button while you're picking up this prompt. If you're holding it while you're doing the memory selection, it always seems to default to cancel in this case, so you might spend a few seconds trying to get this. Alright, so what we're going to do, we get another memory skip. Pop about over here. And start memory. And you can see the game is bouncing us all over the place. Okay, now this one is an odd exception. I recommend doing 2 afterwards, just because sometimes I've done it, I thought I've been clear, and it still shoves me back. But again, position does seem to be a factor there. Alright, so you may be wondering why we did that. Well, it should be obvious here in a second if you've played. Doing that, we can skip Cell Ray. and we don't have to worry about picking up Ozma or doing his little quest. Alright, so we're going to move on and head to Underground Caverns. Alright, and here we're going to do another out of bounds skip. Oop. So you want to track this guy, come over here, once more make sure you're swimming, and equip the dwarf bracelet. Alright, roll over here. Alright, I'll do some explaining here in a second. Alright. So, pretty normal. You shouldn't have to worry about saving because this one's a lot safer. You may want to save though because what we're going to do is we're going to go out of bounds here and then drop in underneath to get into underground ruins because we cannot activate the puzzle to get in right now. So right here, watch my mini map. And I'm just going to do, you usually don't need to if you got this practice, but just for show off sake, I'm going to do a safety save. Alright. Alright. Okay. So, just need to move around here.
Leave it to me.
And you should eventually hit that loading zone. If not, you'll need to swim back out and drop down again and come back underneath. Alright. So, you may be wondering, well, we've skipped the dungeon. We can't normally get underwater, so how are we going to get past here? Well, guess what? Memories again. So, get it right about here. You don't have to be super hugging it. Equip your dwarf bracelet. And watch your memory. Then before you pop out of your menu, hit your control stick in the direction of the entrance. And voila. So it seems using the dwarf bracelet and watching the memory will dunk you under enough that you can get in under there. May actually see it when I do it this time. If not, it's no big. You may have to repeat it once depending. It can be a little finicky, but not so much so that it's terrible.
Let's go.
Leave it to me.
Whoop. Nope, I am going right. Whoop. As you will see through here, I'm very good about slipping up on menus. Everybody does it, so don't worry about it too much. Okay. Now, you may want to save here because we're going to do yet again another memory skip because we do have another boss coming up that we're going to skip. You can get up to about right here, I believe. If you go any closer, you will start the encounter. Alright, so memory cycle again. And, okay. And just to note, make sure you're holding down your high speed button until you get back into the menu. Just because those cutscenes get a little funny. And it may look like it's over, but it's not quite. Okay. So let's go on to Highland. Just pretty much roll on through here. We're not worried about anything.
This is hopeless.
We beat this thing?
Alright. And since we've skipped some things, Highland is broken and we don't have to do chain of events here. So we can just roll on through. Alright. Do pick up this monument here. We are going to be warping back to it later. That's one of the few required monuments in this run. Okay,
My turn.
so we want to come up here. This is required because
Can't lose.
Oh, boy.
Alright, so now we have Kalilika. And there goes Karna. Bye-bye, Karna.
Here I go.
Okay, so if you played the game, you know what we got to do next. Well, I want to show you a couple ways to do this. Sorry, I need a drink real quick. I'm going to show you a safe route, or a safe execution, and then a kind of swag risky execution. So, the thing with the lightning here is that this is on a global timer. And when Falcom did this, they did not program it to stop during pause screens. So, if you're quick enough, which hopefully we are, we can actually pause the game and skip being blasted by lightning. Now, we're not going to do this through this whole area because it's way too risky when you account for the loading screens. But we are going to do it a little bit later once we get up to the tower. Now, as I said, I'm going to show you a safe thing and a risky thing. If you want to play it safe, come over here and activate this. Because that way we won't have to worry about lightning strikes. Now, if you want to get swaggy, we're going to go for that one up here. Alright, wait for our next cycle. 2, 3. Okay. As you see, that's a little risky because you have to get it just right. I'm going to try it for again just so I can say I showed it off. Alright.
Here goes.
Okay. Oh, too far. Okay. But you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Alright, as you see there, got it fast enough.
Hang in there.
Alright, so we're going to go up here, wait for a cycle. And I'll explain here in a moment. Come up here, zap this one. Because did you see that purple ore there? While you're inside that, fully inside it, you are protected. If your mini-map icon is sticking out just a little bit, you may be at risk.
My turn.
And you probably want to be on evasion. Okay, so we're going to come up here. And we're good. Like I said, you may want to stick on evasion just because it's possible for someone to get caught on there, and that's a bad thing. Alright, so we're going to come up here, but we actually don't want to go in the tire. 2, 3. So we're going to do our skip. Okay, I'm going to shut up because I miscounted there. Okay. So you will definitely get a feel for it when you do it. But basically, as you see, the trick is do a couple rolls, pause for a second, come out, do a few more rolls, pause, and you can get through there just fine. I'm unfortunately a little bit slow, so I got to do a few more than normal. So let us move on. And yes, we do it that way for a particular reason, because I'll show it to you here eventually. I'm not going to spoil it because it's a little cool, and it'll be pretty obvious. All right, head on down this way. All right, going to make a quick detour here because we want to grab this because we're going to warp back here fairly shortly. All right, let's go visit some underground nerds. Okay.
My turn.
Don't do any side stuff here. We're just going to go straight to the village elder. Okay. Do some menuing here. Now, I'm going to do this a little slow, just for example, you can do a bit faster. We want to put Frida in lead because, as you can see, she's far away the best right now. And then we also do want to keep Kalilica because she's second best. And then we want to do some skill swap here. I like to put Eris King spin down here. And then we also want to pick up Demonic Edge because that raises our strength, and if you played an RPG, you know what strength does. So, yes.
Now's our chance.
So,
Let's get them. Get out of the way. I'll turn you to ice. Please don't.
this fight's generally pretty easy. Unfortunately, I'm really sucking at it right now. Really sucking. I am so sorry. I promise you, the fight's generally easier than that. Just keep using Cactus Drive, pop Frozen Prison. It'll be over before you know it. Alright. So now we're just going to keep Frida in the lead. I believe she's second fastest. So it's no big loss to attempt to switch her out. And this is pretty much going to be our final party anyways. Alright, so warp on here to Ashen Forest. And now we can access Frida's field skill, which we'll use all of twice. Okay. So you may or may not want to kill that worm because sometimes it can interfere with popping your field skill here. If you can roll up fast enough past it, you can usually, you have like a 1 second window. But it just depends. So here we are in the swamp. Gonna hop through the swamp. Set up this tent. Alright, come up here. Grab that monument because, yep, we're going to warp back to it later. Wave hi to Elduke as we roll them by. Alright, grab this monument because we will be coming back very shortly. Okay. Take those guys out because they can interfere with this puzzle. Now let's see. Now you can technically do this with your mouse as well, but I always have problems getting my mouse to work with this. I did the wrong. I think I did the wrong one. So just grab those three, pop them on here. And, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this. Come on, just hurry up and kill me off.
Not done yet. Is this it?
Leave everything to me. Someone please heal me.
Okay, come on, spit me up, you dumb.
Caught me off guard.
Oh, that's unusual. So, interesting thing. It seems that despite being far and away from the tower and the lightning field, the game expects that our next death is going to be to a lightning strike. So, whenever we die, it's just going to automatically warp us back here to the lightning tower. And we're going to use that because we actually want to go back to Highland right now.
Don't let them get away.
Make sure you put them back on attack focus because we are getting into an encounter here. Oop. Tried to pop off demonic edge there just because, again, anytime you can get strength bonus. But apparently couldn't get it fast enough before they started attacking. That just threw me off. So maybe lead off with the cactus drive there. The big reason when we do this is a little more experience, and we now have access to the golden wing, which means we can warp anywhere. Alright, so let's go back here, outskirts. Guys, we're going to talk to the frog about some revenge. Alright. Wait. What? Okay, I've never seen him do that before. Alright, so something you can do is, if you time it right, you can use Hurricane Spin to keep him down. Obviously, I'm not doing it super well.
Leave it to me.
But, you know, gotta show you the beats and bruises. Alright, Beastskin Claws. We're gonna pop on these babies because we're gonna start playing Wario. Wah! And also because this is faster than roll dashing. And this is going to be our movement for the rest of the game. And it puts Adol back in the lead. Also helps that's necessary to get through this area. Okay, so up here is going to be Mustrum, who is going to be our second jump boss, which I am actually going to show you here. So I'm going to be grabbing this monument because I'm going to be using him to jump escape twice.
Leave everything to me.
So for this first battle, we want to go in with Frida, because she's still our best right now.
Now's our chance.
Now, the thing with Mustrum is, we need to get him into his second phase before we can start jumping.
I'll turn you to ice. Smash to pieces. That all you got?
Okay. Alright, so
Stay out of their way.
what we want to do is we want to come over to about here. You'll see this snow area. Now we need him to come close enough. I think that should about do it.
Too easy. That all you got? That all you got?
We don't need him to do that.
That all you got?
Okay. Yes, we want him to do that.
There I go.
Okay, apparently I'm off there. Oh, okay. It's a bit hard to show there just because of the camera angles, but want to pretty much go up and down there. Feel free to save there, practice it so you get a feel for where you want to drop. As you see, you kind of don't have freedom right now, but it's fine because she'll pop back up here in a second. See? She's back. Alright, so one last monument grab. Alright, now this is entirely optional and normally we don't do it in a run, but I'm going to show this to you in case you're having problems with the boss up ahead. There is a power ring over here, plus 20 strength. However, for the most part, we don't usually use it just because the time to grab it just usually isn't worth it. But if you're practicing, may not hurt to get it. But for the most part, overall, we don't go for it. Alright, so we're going to do another... Okay, wish I had a little more... okay. So that was another flash jump. You can only use it on the laser. Basically, again, like with the bee and Mustrum, we're gaining momentum. But when you reach about the apex of your jump, you want to dash. Because I guess since you can't normally jump in this game, Falcom didn't put anything over the top, so we can just leap over, hop down, and hit the loading zone to get into Colonia. So don't worry about anything in here, just dash. Don't be like me and get caught on that corner, kids. Or that one. Okay, we're going to come down here because there's a treasure chest we're going to want to grab. Be careful in here because there is a few encounters. Nothing dangerous that you can't super handle, but it does waste time. So we're going to try to go over to the right as far as we can, hopefully do a quick grab. Something you can do is if you do attract enemies, you can't get them off you. You can go into your menu, watch your memory, and that usually resets their position. It may give you just enough time to grab it and get out. So I'm going to go in here, attempt this, we'll see what happens. I'm usually bad at this. Okay. Cool. Alright, remove this lattice grate because this is going to be our final use of Frida and the dwarf bracelet. And you don't actually have to unequip the Beast King's claws first. I'm just bad at menuing. Back to Otto. Now we're going to come up and do another laser jump here in a few moments. Feel free to safety save here because this can be a pain in the butt. Okay. Okay, real quick here. Now we're going to come up to Soul Galba 2. This boss is the reason we want to do the jump escape, because if we would come in here otherwise without escaping from any bosses, Soul Galba wouldn't load, and we need him to load because we got to get an item from him afterwards. But since I jump escape from Mustrum, should be good. So we absolutely want to equip this sword because we need the strength. Because we're going to go in here with Adol. Now, Soul Galba 2 can be dangerous. So you want to make sure you're pretty dang good at flash guards. If you want to play it super safe, you can remove Frida's sorcery robes and put them on Adol. And since I got it here, I'm going to put on the power ring. Again, the overall time save is just not about worth it to actually grab it, but again, if you want to practice, go for it. And then one last thing, I meant to say this earlier. If you're going to use your X skill on Mustrum, you want to pop it as early as possible, just because you definitely want to have your X skill for Soul Galba here. And while you can get some recovery through flash guards, you want to make sure you're not waiting too long for it. Alright. So, safety save because, again, he can be a pain in the butt. Alright. Now, this is one fight where learning Simulflash may come in handy. Because it makes it a lot easier to deal with. Alright. want to apply strength here. Just so you're doing as much damage as you can. Alright. And don't worry about this because this is usually a 2-cycle fight. And there we go. Okay. So we got the Mask of the Moon, but we're not quite done yet. So we're actually going to visit Mustard one more time. Because remember the thing with the Force Encounters? Yeah. Right. We're going to take advantage of that one more time. Alright, so since we got the Rune Blade and stuff, this is a little easier. So, try this one more time. Okay. And there we go. So, yeah. Most anything Mushroom can do, you can leap out on. Alright, so come back here to El Duke. And we're going to get in. We're going to go for last dungeon. Y'all ready for this? Except we're not actually going to go through the last dungeon. Remember what I said about Force Encounters? Well, because this is an encounter here, and is actually after you defeat Garuda. Guess what? We finished the last dungeon. So now we have one last thing to do. So yeah, just pretty much cruise through here. Avoid the fire. Beastking's Claws definitely helps. Alright. So last fight. This one is easy. As you see here, we seem to have Lisa here. And she's going to provide us with free heals. So yeah, can't really use this. Although I'm being bad about it,
You waste your time. Pathetic.
you want to be... Simulguards absolutely help here.
Pathetic. You waste your time. Try this. No escape.
Alright, then when you have Grudo down to about quarter of his health, you can pop your X skill. Usually get him pretty close, if not quite dead.
No. This isn't
All right. So let's throw that ring in. And that's it. That's the run. Overall, it's not terribly difficult. There's a few execution tricks, but with practice, you can get it pretty quickly. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully, this will help you out if you ever decide to pick up Celceta Speedrun. It's pretty fun and it's fairly short. Once you get it down, you can definitely do it in under an hour if that's your thing. Um, I will try to link to our Ease Discord. There's a speedrunning Discord, so if you ever have any problems, you can just pop in, ask a question. Feel free to leave a comment on this video if you need any help. I'll help as best I can. Um, Other than that, nothing I can seriously think of. So, thanks for watching and have a great one.